the house does not take all the money. This is a good fertile ground to build, and you will see every year we're just going to get better, stronger, smarter people, better people, more people wanting to work with us to bring costs down and further integration in technology.
Welcome to an amazing episode. Guys, I have an amazing treat for you. I have someone absolutely super special that I'm having on the podcast today. This individual has been in the industry for over 20 years and beforehand was on Wall Street in various capacities, including the brokerage and portfolio management and consulting. He's also on several different president-elect boards for all different types of the real estate associations around the country. He's now at one of the top positions at EXP Realty. This man, I'm very happy to be alongside with at this company, and I'd love to introduce my friend James Hahn. Thank you for joining us today.
Henry, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and have a good discussion and hopefully demystify, share the journey, the story, and really what we're going to try to accomplish in the next couple of years. As we know, change is going to happen whether we like it or not right now.
Sure. I love it. Well, listen, before we dive into all the fun things today, I would love for you to do some, I know I did a little bit of introduction, which I know you've done some amazing things in your career, but I'd like to rewind the clocks just a little bit before you got into the real estate world a little while back. Give us an idea, like, was getting into the, commercial world something you always had planned, or what was the plan beforehand?
You know what? Got lucky. So a lot of times, like most, I would say stereotypical parents wanted you to be a doctor, engineer is kind of where the path that my parents gave me. Really, as immigrants, they didn't understand what it was like in different career paths, but the more stable path. So my parents said you should study a certain type of major because it was stable. It's what they knew. But obviously going through life, going through just listening, learning, finding out, you realize there's a different path for yourself, right? So you almost have to take your own journey, your own pathway, and not follow the path of your parents. So instead went into finance. And that was the biggest change of working for one of the largest companies, wirehouses, broker dealers in the country, learning from there as being an analyst, working then to be portfolio management. And then I would just say, coming back from the East Coast to the West Coast, I said, what do I do now? Taking some of my analytical portfolio skills, I worked for one of the largest TIC syndicators in the country, where in time, this one company, this one TIC company grew to about $2.7 billion under management. And this was during the 90s, late 90s, all the way to when the market turned in the last Great Recession at 2007, 2009. So it was kind of being lucky where I went into portfolio management, more stock and bond analysis work, to real estate portfolio management and working under the CEO to learn and see. And I was fortunate to work under the CEO because I had a bigger vision, not being siloed as just analysts, underwriting, M&A, simple, different work in a silo. I got to see it from the CEO who I worked under to look at everything. And I did anything and everything he told me to do. So that's how I fortunately underwrote so many properties from Marcus and Millichap that eventually I said, you know what, I want to work and learn this business and not just be a W-2, but a 1099, be an entrepreneur.
So, okay, cool. So then and around that time, so that means you said you basically got into the license world of being a salesperson in what year?
99.
99, cool. So then tell me about your experience in the commercial world. I mean, like, obviously, you're absolutely crushing it in every other aspect of your life. I'm curious, like, what was your journey on the sales side?
I didn't mind meeting people. I actually love meeting people, learning about people. Already doing the real estate portfolio management, I knew enough. I had enough traction. So what I had to do was find the right home. So going to M&M was a great place because everyone says that's the best place to learn commercial real estate. And what it is because they hold you accountable, they grind you down, they make you survive. We always say, if you could survive your first year, you kind of made it. And then how long do you stay there? Whether you are career, you drink the Kool-Aid, you're there for a long time. Or many people, and I'm very proud of this, a lot of ex-M&Mers are leaders in our industry. They spun off, they bought companies, they learned what to do in the business, and then they really diversified, whether they syndicated, they developed it. A lot of people did fintech, tech startups from M&M. So really proud of learning the basics, learning it. And I would say it's like the Spartans, where they just throw you in a pit, only the strong survive. And I was just talking to some of our teammates today. The difficulty to be a commercial agent is really full-time all the time. It's a lifestyle for many of us. Out of 10 people, and these are 10 people through the year, one make it. 10% really make it at some of these big firms. And through to be part of the 10, you have personality profiles, math tests, 3 or 4 interviews with different people before you even get in to be the 10%. And I would even say after 3 to 5 years, that 10% is cut in half for those that actually make it and survive in the industry and don't change jobs.
We definitely see that more and more commonly, especially in the markets today. A few years then go by, and then all of a sudden EXP comes knocking on your door. I'm curious, like, why even consider joining this company?
So kind of going a little further. So when I was at M&M, there was a point where I was building my portfolio, doing so many other things, right? I loved cold calling, I loved building the relationship with my client. I formed my first company, BRC Advisors. And from that company, I really formed it because I wanted to just work with other good brokers. And we basically wanted to just bring economies of scales and costs, like a lot of tech tools, office space, it's expensive. So getting enough of us that we do enough business with, and I would say sometime I make 100,000 with you, $250,000 with you. There's all these brokers, you're going to make a certain amount of dollars with because you just through the time have been doing just enough business with them, and it's repeatable in commercial real estate. So we wanted to just form a company where a good group of us can get together, share ideas, share expenses, collaborate in an office. But who would have thought bringing a good culture of friendship, sharing, knowledge, collaboration would grow you? So eventually the company grew to almost 180 commercial brokers. Wow. We had 5 offices and 2 satellite offices out of state. We had different services from property management, some of the capital, consulting. I mean, we did so many things with 180 commercial agents doing about $2 billion in sales every year. I mean, we were a good force to be reckoned with. And then 2009 hit. We always know what happened. Bear Stearns Lehman Brothers happened, collapsed, right? Fourth quarter of 2008, and that was like, oh, what's going to happen? Well, we saw what happens. Kind of right now, everyone was canceling deals. Nothing happened. Literally bid ask price. Everyone was in fear mode, preservation mode, keeping dry powder. 6 months, I literally did no business. So learning from that experience, I'll tell you, that goes on a different path. I always call myself a war general because I was retired back then, and then I wasn't retired anymore. To learn to dust myself off, pick myself back up, get back out there and fight and keep grinding, keep doing it. And don't let complete destruction happen, put you back. But from there, lick my wounds. I'd say 2012, long recession from 2009 to about 2012 summer, things started to come back. And then I wanted to find a new partnership where later on I had the privilege of working with one of the largest national franchise. He's a legend in the industry. So running this large franchise, we opened about 80 franchise offices, but it did take me 6 years. 1 year we were working on the FDD, the franchise agreements. The next 5 years was building the national platform. And then we did a lot of MOUs globally too. But from there, we were going to do, because I volunteered in the residential, Tom Trong, he was ARIA's national president. I was his vice president, moving up that path. I was like, hey, you know what? Curious about EXP. I mean, he wanted to bring me over. I was on his list, but I said, no, you don't have commercial, but I'm open-minded. And I've always been open-minded about everyone's platform, love to learn. So I went to learn. I was learning about EXP 3, maybe 4 years. As soon as Tom joined, maybe a year after, he started inviting me to events. So I'd go to the events, network, and learn. And actually, I was going to do reverse engineer what EXP was going to do as a holding company to bring it to my franchise company. And we had other verticals to go public. So I wanted to learn from you of how I could reverse engineer this. And through that process of knowing and looking at the right company to be with, residential firms, franchise commercial firms, full service corporate firms, all different sizes, I did pick EXP because the way the model is open-minded leadership, flexible leadership, creativity and technology, and this is the big one, starting something from scratch, no bad habits. And that's why I didn't want to join a lot of other firms, because I would come in forcing to break bad habits and entrench leadership and people that may not want me there, but I may be in charge or trying to give people direction, and I'm going to have a lot of problems, right? And it's sometimes, we always say in commercial real estate, it's better to do ground up without a tear down project and get rid of all the rubble and then build it from scratch. So EXP, after looking at all the platforms, and I think it's showing, EXP is the right platform. It's great, fertile ground with the right pieces and with the right leadership, allowing this creativity, this innovation, allowed us to build the seed of when I came over just 3 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, where do you think this company's going? Like, what's your vision for the next few years?
Well, one good thing is because this has been tried in many residential firms to build a commercial. The best they were is resi-mercial with a couple good commercial brokers or teams in the residential firms. Very true. But there was no connectivity, there was no connections, mostly because they were franchised. And franchises, running a franchise organization before, is getting everyone on the same page to work together, collaborate. Well, these are the advantages we had and why I picked EXP to build a new commercial company, publicly traded. Great. Check a box. 2, corporate, not franchise. Again, check a box. Better command, control, and implementation. So with that, the other was, well, you're a new co. You have no brand recognition. And I said this, being in the industry for 25 years, not burning bridges, volunteering is what I did during the last recession. I volunteered, I gave back, I helped out. I always loved diversity, but I put it on steroids. Just what legacy did I want to leave in this industry is giving back, training, helping out, teaching, whatever I could do to help. But from there, if you got the best leaders, the best mentors, the best of the best in a new co, what does that mean? You win. So what I started to do is reach out to a lot of friends saying, can you help me? Being humble, being open. Many people said, I will join you. I will hang my hat. I'm not asking you to pay me or get a retainer or anything. And they would normally get that. But because of friendship, and I do want to thank a lot of good friends. I'm not going to name their names and all that stuff. You can look them up. But there was a lot of national presence, global leaders, people that have done this business that are my mentors, my advocates, people that I go to when I have issues and difficulties, and they came to this company. And every year I just kept on asking, are you ready to help? Are you ready to assist? We're building something great. We can build something. Like I said, we're always shooting for the top dog, CBRE. We could be the virtual CBRE, not only domestic, but with, Michael Valdez and global leadership in 24 different countries. We can grow globally. We can grow the services. We can grow the funds. I mean, there's so much we can do here on the fertile ground. And right now, having the best leaders, and we're collecting always better people than yourself, right? You want to be the dumbest guy in the room. You always want to be the less educated. All your job is to organize and get people together. So by getting the best people, now year 3, we are the fastest growing commercial. And again, ask these tech companies. A lot of these companies say, oh, we got 4,000, 5,000, whatever these crazy numbers. Talk to the tech companies of who's using their services. And then that's the real count. And they will say, no, EXP is what commercial is one of the biggest accounts or the biggest accounts because of what we're doing. So there's a lot of growth on success on the brokerage. But going forward, we're going to build the services, capital markets, asset facility management, valuation, corporate services, and in time, private money, DST, and funds. So it's almost full circle when I got into commercial real estate, working with the ticks. Now they call them DSTs because we all know what happened last cycle in the tick world. So Henry, it's exciting, to see this growth. It's like a baby, your child growing up.
Yeah. So I appreciate you diving so much into this because I'm very excited, just like you are, for what EXP is creating over time and what we're going to be accomplishing. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this right now. For someone who's brand new, I want to talk about a few different sides of this coin, which is let's just first talk about the agents that are newer to the industry. And we'll talk about a little bit more about seasoned agents in a second. Newer to the industry, they don't really have a full grasp of the commercial world, but they know they want to be in the commercial side. Maybe they've done a few on the residential, they did a few commercial deals because they're a residential agent. They're just trying to get their feet wet in the commercial world. What do you specifically feel like EXP has to offer for these individuals specifically, and why this would be a great fit for them?
The great thing is because a lot of times the other offices, you got to go to the office. There is something about that. Being in the office, camaraderie around other people, everyone in the bullpen, cold calling, making deals, right? There's excitement, there's energy. But the one thing is it forces you to go to the office, be in certain locations, because we have the metaverse and we have technology to collaborate. And now that we have larger numbers, education, great education with some of the best teachers, to a point where we have now more mentors, more people that you need a mentor or coach. So I would always divide them into 2. Coach is really accountability, making your cold calls. Are you eating right? Are you lifting the right weights? Are you doing the runs? Keeping you accountable. Mentors are usually those people that have done this and goes with you to the meetings. Because a lot of times, which is difficult, but we're working through that, we have better numbers, is getting people to actually go with you on the meetings. So in the beginning, you're talking less, your mentor is talking more, and eventually you will lead that and rinse and repeat. But I'll just say this, the biggest thing is we're 80-20 capping at 20. Most of our senior brokers are at 100% after their first 2 deals. That allows you, because the house does not take all the money, is somebody that you really align as a new broker. Let me put you on my deal. 10%, 20%, 25, 50, 50. It all depends on your team or individual, how productive. I know some brokers here, they're like, Jim, I just don't work on any more deals less than $50,000 commission check. Believe it or not, because they're just doing hundreds of thousands and they work on the institutional stuff. They're like, yeah, 5 to 10,000 square foot deal, lease deal. I don't even want to work on it. You can join these teams as a new broker. Yep. Because they're already at 100%. Now that we're bringing such a pipeline of trained junior brokers or new brokers to plug in. And the other big thing is now you can also work on, let's just say our 90,000 agents in 24 different countries. You use Workplace, you just use that to prospect. In addition to your cold calling, door knocking, old school way, you use a new way to prospect. You do both of those, you are going to have enough deal flow. And because we're 80-20 capping at 20, you're going to keep more. At these big houses, 50-50, 50-50. That's the split. And maybe they give you a draw, maybe they do these things, but in this market, most people can't survive. This is the best place, I believe. And we're working through mentoring, coaching, training, getting people together in geographic locations to upgrade their skills. But the biggest thing is deal in tow, a business in tow, because one thing is, we all know business creates more business. You get some deal, you cold call in it, it's going to get you 2 or 3 buy-side deals, possibly 2 or 3, potential proposals, and then you just build a CRM, drip on them, rinse and repeat. So the more you get that energy, get that deal from your mentor, senior, or from EXP referral, you can have something to work on to get you, confident, get you to say, this is my listing, this is my deal I'm calling on. And you feel that, right? That confidence to make those calls if you're a part of something rather than, are you buying, selling, or refi? Kind of tough, got to do it. But here you have something to work with because of our split structure and our 90,000 agents.
Really, really well said. And I appreciate how clear you've made that. And I couldn't agree with you more. Now, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Now, for those agents who are making not only 100 grand, but I'm saying several 100,000, if not $1 million or more at another brokerage firm, why should they even consider switching brokerages?
Very good questions. Right now, the best split. That's important. But we have the best tools and we're getting more corporate tools. So a lot of the technology, whether you're doing transactions, leasing, or business brokerage, which most people don't do, we're getting different verticals of the technology stack to plug it all in together. So now, not only do you have a good split, we have the tech stack. With the tech stack, we have the training. With that, we have the referrals and collaboration. Because a lot of business brokers, they don't do leasing or sales. Now you can collaborate. Now with the leasing, they don't do business sales, but they don't do transactions. So every one of the 3 parts of the stool collaborates and connect with each other, because now holistically, you are not, let's just say if you are in different parts, full service big firm, 50-50, stay in your silo, don't talk to anyone, gives you more flexibility and freedom. The next is a franchise firm, limited resources, high expenses, not so big collaboration. And then we all know at the residential firms, you're just isolated, to be honest. So to allow you to come over to really plug in and connect and add other partners at the fair split, not 50-50 with the house, you can collaborate. So better senior brokers and teams coming over can now plug in to do what you do best. We always say, be an expert. But now with your expertise, you can pass leasing deals over, build your teams with so many people. You actually can build your own company. And that's the fun thing too. In this time, we know a lot of people are thinking where to go. EXP Commercial allows you to build your own company, brokered by EXP Commercial. It's your LLC or corporation, your team in an LLC or corporation, brokered by EXP Commercial. So now you actually freed yourself from a lot of these firms, franchise firms, independent, to plug in. We do all the back office liability stuff, broker of record, license in all 50 states, 24 countries. You plug your company in, do the fun business prospect, all the good stuff. And we do economies of scale, getting the tech, putting all the training together, taking on the E&O and liability and a lot of the background things that are not fun running your own brokerage company. So now you can really build your own business, create your own company, create your own independence from revenue share. We haven't even gotten that, earning stock, getting referrals, building your team, this is really build financial security. I've been around, I've seen every model, was going to be hired by many different companies through NDACAs. I saw everyone's business plan. This is the place. Wholeheartedly, this is the place. Is it perfect? No, we're 3 years in, but this is a good fertile ground to build. And you will see every year, we're just going to get better, stronger, smarter people, better people, more people wanting to work with us to bring costs down and further integration in technology. So for senior groups, this is a place where you can build your own company. You can keep more of your money. And all of the things you were worried about, you don't have to worry with the back office administration, liability, E&O, training your brokers. Most teams don't have the bandwidth to train and upscale their brokers, collaboration with almost every product type. And now we're adding services. So it's all in-house. And commercial non-RESPA, we're passing referral fees, compensation from everyone. So doing the business here is going to yield you more dollars, more profitability, building your own security, because we know working for these other firms and other stuff, you're losing a lot of control. Even though you think you have more control there, you really have no control unless you're running your own business. So you're running your own company business, collaborating with so many experts, but now you're building financial security, not only for yourself, but your children and family. And that's why I love what Glenn Sanford did, agent-centric. Love that word, agent-centric, because most times you work for the company. Now you work for yourself and your family.
It's like dropping the mic after everything you talk about. And I appreciate how clear you're making this. And I want to talk about it because you brought up the revenue share, which I want to bring up in a minute. But I also want you to talk about the multiple verticals along these different services that we're providing and how an agent can capitalize on each one of those. Because I feel like a lot of, not only my audience, but a lot of, I'd say newer commercial agents or even agents who've been in the business maybe only a few years aren't aware about how much of the multi-collaboration there is across the different services that we provide. So do you mind if you go into that a little bit?
That's why with our basic agent training, we give you a very holistic 30,000-foot view, having people come in from the different services so you see how the puzzle pieces fit together, right? All good commercial brokers understand how to underwrite, understand where, depending on product type, specialty, lawyers, environmental, the biggest one, finance, debt, capital markets, especially now. Most deals don't make sense. So to learn how you work with property asset management, how you work with legal, how you look at environmental, definitely how you look at capital markets, the debt side, right, to underwrite a deal correctly. In commercial, depending on what you work on, there are so many ways that your client needs to prepare, get ready, even before you list, execute, sell the deal, exchange the deal. It is so important for agents to learn it holistically. And then it's going through a mentor senior of learning how and what do you need to go. And anytime what we're trying to build in the company is the best relationship, corresponding relationships, direct with lenders, direct with different parties, is to, one, they're always doing training in our virtual world and through YouTube and everything, you're going to learn everything. But also having the mentors to coach you from every product type and getting paid or referrals because of that. And that's why, because commercial is so complex, depending on what you're working on. And we're starting to get into people that are coming over that are developers, doing OZs, public-private partnership. Henry, we're talking about EB5. Yes, people are EB5 specialists. Many people here are MBAs, CPAs, lawyers. I mean, these are the people that are building commercial that are professionals. And by adding not just the brokerage collaboration, but the services, this is going to help you solve your client's problems, especially now. I need equity. Debt, $2 trillion are coming up in the next couple of years. That's a lot of money. And obviously different things are being affected from office, retail, hospitality. We say some big cities, the doom loop is happening, right? People with remote working, interest rate hikes, people not coming back, tourism because of some bad policies, don't even want to visit certain cities. What do you think that's going to do, right, with tax consequences? So these are the holistic, how we look at it, having economists, having people educate, giving research reports to make our best agents. But from a new agent is teaching them right, mentoring them right, giving as many video as possible so they can learn the process a couple times, rinse and repeat, be on their own, learn to be a senior broker, and then they'll get some juniors if they're open to give back and train other people. But it is important as we're building it very methodically, the base and each pieces. And also we're putting parts, Henry, right now, like the capital markets, bridge loans, tax reassessment, asset management to go after receivership, working with a lot of auction companies, large commercial auction receivership companies, is to bring that business in-house. Where many of us, I've been around a couple cycles since the 89, 92, many of my mentors have been They've been around since the Carter years, right? So they've been around in a lot of cycles. But with these cycles, we have relationship. We learn how to bring the business in. So to us, it's like, okay, we see opportunities. So by putting the right recessionary businesses in our company, it allows our agents, once we educate them, this is what you do. Because you can't say, are you selling your building? No, I can't sell my building. Can you refi? No, I can't refi it at a 4%, 5% to an 8 or 9%. No, I cannot do that. We're adding things that are realistic into our company that people can use to, one, stay in touch with their client and possibly make some dollars, because again, you got to stay in the game. This 2-3 years is going to be in attrition. Keep more money, learn more skills, create opportunities. And this company is so large enough, we work as one big brain. Whatever you're working on, you may not be able to do it individually. You may not even be able to do it with your team or your old company, our group. But by plugging it into this big brain of our company, we will help you solve it if it's solvable, because you got 90,000 agents that you talk to me or any other leaders. We bring it to the right people. Is there a solution? Is there a way we can bring in the business? Because we are publicly traded, about $4 billion, let's say, market cap company, corporate, not franchise. I mean, there's so many more things, Henry, we can do here. And many of us, because we've been around the block a couple times, oh boy, do we know what to do. It's just implementing it into our company, right? That's the biggest challenge. Is great ideas. We all have great ideas. Implementation, execution. But our company, because we are technology, we are lean and mean and quick, faster than any other companies. And we all know during tough times, you got to pivot. Those that can adapt and pivot quicker survives the game.
I'm loving this so much. I'm taking a lot of mental notes from this. So now let's shift gears now into, because we just talked about the different ancillary services. Let's explain a little bit more about the compensation structure around revenue share and the stock options, which I know you mentioned before. Why would that be lucrative for an agent to know about?
Well, you know what? We all say you have to have the best commercial platform, bar one. That's your core business. That's what you need to do. Got to be the best there. But by doing your business, everyone wants to bring people that they like to the company they're at. Most places you get a plaque, you get a recognition. Congratulations, you brought 20, 30 people over to our company. Here's a plaque. Here's a Starbucks coupon, maybe an Amazon coupon or a Visa card. They're not giving you tens of thousands of dollars. But here, bringing people in that you want to work with can yield, and I've seen some people make millions a month, or at least 100 to $250,000. And as the company has readjusted the way the revenue share and things work, Glenn and the leadership wants security for our agents to, we always say, if you're a broker, you go broke. You're not doing your deals, you're broke. You're not getting fed. In this company, just by attracting, bringing people, building your team, you're getting something from it. And to people to say, I don't recruit, I don't attract, you don't sell, you're a cog, you're a support system. So don't say you don't recruit or sell. We're all selling. We're all promoting, unless you're a cog, and then you just kind of turn whenever oil comes into the machine. But we're all promoting, and wouldn't you rather get compensated something for just sharing the company you really love, adore, want to be a part of, see the vision? You get something for it, and that's the beauty. Because so many boutique companies or franchise companies, I want to be a principal, I want to be a partner. Partnership has liability, right? You pay when right now the market's down. You're coughing up some dollars to pay for the expenses. Here, you're just bringing people in. The company keeps surviving, and that's why we all are owners. We turn off the light, we throw out the garbage, we do what we can, because we're all shareholders. But it is important to have that owner mentality, and we all could be owners and shareholders here. And just by doing your normal job, sharing the company you love, you're getting a gross, not net. We all know how net works. Net could be manipulated, all the expenses or whatever you need to throw in expenses to make no money. Here at this company, you get it the gross. The gross, you get it from the top. The rest puts in to make sure the company is always running. And it's a beautiful thing. And if you look at these numbers, especially on the realty side, and I will say residential is always more progressive than commercial. They track, they use technology, they do it. EXP, compared to all the other companies, is profitable. If you saw the new report that came out from Mike, and it showed overall first half of the year net profitability. Other companies are growing, but I think the Goldilocks zone, we were at the right place, right time, right growth. Some people were way too early that they're struggling now. Their infrastructure, their culture, a lot of things weren't built. They're successful per agent because they were playing with smaller numbers to grow. It looks bigger, but they were not in the Goldilocks zone. We are in the Goldilocks zone where for people to catch us, it's going to be hard. for those that understand this. Those that are legacy brands, very tough. Nothing about your brand, nothing about your people. It's the structure. Those that are built with us, I would just say because of what happening, a little late to the game. That's it. Little late to the game. We were right there in the right place, right time. And as long as we don't do any self-induced damage happens, resting on your laurels, being comfortable, that's going to kill you. As long as we drive and keep driving, being held accountable, just reinventing ourselves, we will always stay in front of the game. But I believe we are in the Goldilocks zone where some of our legacy, great people, great leaders, there's nothing about that. It's just their structure. Some people that built like us tweaked a little. We all know the evolution. They were just late to the game because of what's going on. They weren't there at critical mass yet.
What do you feel like for these agents that are coming into this world now, are now seeing EXP and they're like, what do you feel like these companies would need to do to even try to catch us? Because like, obviously what we're doing is so different than a lot of these different brokerages. I'm just curious to get your thoughts. Like, because like I see these huge, the big core, larger commercial side companies. And I'm curious, like, I feel like what we're doing is just so drastically different. It's very, very hard for them to pivot like what we've created.
Exactly right. And we can learn from history from the other tech companies like Amazon, Uber, Airbnb. Obviously, everyone goes through different challenges. They all had a chance to be the stronger one, and they had a chance to buy their competitor demise, whether it's Kodak, that could have bought digital, and I think Sony took it over. There is a lot of case studies. It comes with leadership, ownership, making the tough decisions, 2, 3, 5 steps back, incubating and investing in your competitor. So you're not going down with the ship. Hey, some people are career corporate. They're going to go down with the ship. They got a good pay package. Doesn't help everyone else. Shareholders, they lose. You need to have a real discussion of what do we do? There is precedence. It is hard. And you've got to almost look at your own demise. You got to look at what's going to disrupt you, always staying ahead of the game. I'm already looking what's going to disrupt EXP commercial. I'm already thinking of that. I'm already thinking, what can we do? Other people need to really look and say, this is where we're at. Be real. What do we need to do? Do we stealth incubate? Do we build partnerships? Even though it looks like it's disruptive and it's competing with you, you're hedging your bet. You're being humble by maybe looking for a company like us to merge, to save what you got. I love how everyone says, well, my company's worth this. Well, ever since the change, and we know 10, 20, 30 years, the valuation of residential commercial has been steadily declining from what it's worth, right? Like the signing bonus, everything has gone down because of what's going on in the industry. So now you have to look at, you used to make that, but it's like any business, it's declining. So you can't say all of a sudden you're going to go hockey stick up and your valuation should be 8 to 10 times, right? It's not going to be. You're lucky to be 1 to 2. You're lucky right now, especially in this market. You're lucky just to not be on the hook for liability, to be honest, over the next 2 or 3 years. So I would always say for anyone else, you really need to take a hard look. There is precedence with other tech companies and other disruptive companies of their playbook and what not to do. Otherwise, you are going to go down with the ship. Your margins, your business will keep going down to a point where you can't exist anymore in this new market. And that's what's going to happen during the next 2 to 3 years for sure.
So, I mean, like I've always found it so interesting that people get so fixated, especially when they're making like 25% of, or 50% of 50%, or they're making 50% on the margins. And it's like, how do you even, I can't even understand and wrap my head around how you can conceptualize a brokerage taking that much. It's like, especially if you're doing $1 million in GCI and you're paying out $500,000 a year, it's like, you understand you could build out a support team where you could double or triple or quadruple your business with the same amount of expense. But I am curious to get your thoughts on this. What about for agents right now? I'm curious in this economy, because obviously you've seen different cycles come through. What do you see the top 1% of 1%? Like you were mentioning that 10% then gets cut down to 5%. I'm curious. Tell me, in your opinion, where do you feel like the 1% are focusing right now? Like what are they doing differently than the rest to stay afloat, if not like thrive during this type of market?
A lot of times when people don't leave, it's just fear of change. So just to throw that out there, they think change will disrupt their business, but a lot of times when they do it, they're glad they did it, but it is fear. Now, what is the 1% of the 1% they're doing? They're working harder. They're outworking everyone. They're being more efficient. And many of them have been through other cycles. They have other means of income. They've diversified. They kept dry powder. They have other investments. So a lot of those 1% of the 1% already are doubling down, working harder. They're being more efficient on where's the business, who their main clients are, pivoting them sometimes to, like the last cycle. Hey, multifamily commercial people, buy single family homes. That's what I did with a lot of my clients. Set up a loan mod company, fix and flip company, all these different crazy companies. Just didn't know what would work. Many of these that have been around are working harder. They know they got to survive through attrition. They are working harder. They are going to outwork you because they have the mental discipline to work through this hard time. But they've learned a couple things. They've learned to keep their dry powder. They learned to cut expenses. They learn that they have enough reserves to get through this. And if you ask a lot of people who've been around cycles, not just as a broker, but owned their own company, had other assets, they're going to say the same thing I am. It's just, if you've gone around enough, you see this. But they're outworking people now. They're being very efficient of where they're focusing their time. Yes, they are cutting the dead weight, whatever they need to, right? They are figuring it out of what to do, how to do it. And they are always networking, collaborating to see what the next opportunity and partnering. They're not so stupid to say, I can do it myself. I can work it alone. No, in commercial real estate, it's these relationships. Hey, what are you working on? What are you working on? What deal do you have? Because you're going to help your friends survive. Henry, that's the best thing about this business. You didn't burn bridges. When opportunity comes, even I'll call my friends. Hey, I'm working on this. You want to partner? You want to come on board? You want to do this with me? Keeping your friends alive. And that's what happens during cycle. It is like the residential weeding out period. Most people are doubling down, tripling down, working harder. They're working more efficient. Most that have been around have a lot of dry powder. They diversified their business already, and they're always there looking for the right opportunity, the next opportunity. And they're willing to partner and work with other people. They will collaborate. It's not me. It's all me. It's my secret sauce. They're willing to share it with a close group. They're not going to share with everyone. A lot of times, if you're not networking, volunteering, helping out, you're not in this core circle group because they have to know who you are. Once they know who you are and trust in your heart and your friendships in the right place, they're going to help you. And that's the beauty, especially in commercial, but like everything else, it's relationship building and good things will happen. But I'll tell you, the one thing is those brokers and teams are mentally tough. That is the one thing. It is a mentality. You could sit there, I have nothing, I'm waiting for the phone to ring, or hell, I'm going to get up and be proactive.
That's right.
I'm going to outwork you for the next 2 to 3 years, running that marathon nonstop while everyone's dropping to the wayside because it is an attrition. It is a weeding out period again. And we all know it.
I couldn't agree with you more there. And curious to get your thoughts. Like, where do you see the markets going for what period of time? Like, I'm just curious to get your thoughts.
2 to 3 years. A lot of times already, the large firms already did a forecast after the first half of the year was horrible. I knew watching tea leaves, how 2022 ended in December, 30-40% drop off in production. I knew it's going to be bad. First half of the year was bad. Guidance, things are loosening up because people are getting used to the new normal, higher interest rates. They're forced because of debt coming up, forced to act, right? Whether giving up keys, doing workouts, doing auctions, selling their properties, right? They're making their moves. So that's why I hope December of this year will be a good year. Last year was not great. This year, hopefully they get it going into 24. 24 is going to be interesting because it is an election year. The power that could be, and there is a possible consensus, possibly raising rates, dropping rates to stimulate the market. Possible. 2025, that's all over with. Let it go. 24, 25, 26. Again, we're saying stay alive to 2025, probably 26, 27, back to normalcy. Again, some things obviously going to be hit harder than others, but the next 2 years, we're going to see it. There could be, little good upticks, drop in interest rates, spike it, people repositioning, during next year, probably, is what everyone thinks. Who wins the election? So, and global economics, war, other policies, disruptions, that's going to affect on a macro level, global level, domestic with our elections. We all just know it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, it's going to be tough. There's going to be lower transactions, let's say 50% lower, kind of saying you got to keep more of what you make right here. Keep more of what you make. You got to be with the right platform, right system that could survive $4 billion market cap, no debt, great brokerage, not a bad bet. Now you get referrals and other ways to stay alive, make more money. Not only do you get referrals, other ways to make business from stock or revenue share, but now you get referrals, other people collaborating with you. Think, Henry, pretty good bet. You know what I mean? Pretty good bet. Regardless of the name brand, the credibility, all this, well, okay, then give 50-50 or you're a new broker and another 50-50 or something else. You're going to keep so little. It doesn't matter if you like the house or wherever you live or whatever it is. They're all great companies. You can survive and do whatever you want anywhere you want. At this point, it's survival during the next 2 years, 3 years. So if you can't survive, who cares where you're at? You're not going to make it 2 years, or your family's going to suffer. But you got to look at them, right? We always talk about brokerage business, you and it's your family. You got to responsibly family first. You can't survive how great, how big, team, love of the broker. There's great people out there. It's your survival, where you're making the best bet to survive. Company's going to be around, collaborating and getting through this cycle. And that's what everyone needs to kind of look at. There's no right or wrong answer. It's where you like to be, how much you want to give up. We all wear different jerseys. We're all friends. People know each other. But it's where do you think the best bet for the company to survive, for you to survive, and whatever you want to do. And then you can always leave, come, whatever you want to do later. But if you're not in the game, who cares what company you are at?
It's really like you had mentioned before about the 1%. It's like it's having that winner's mentality, be aligned with a winner's mentality company and leaders who have that same mentality. And I'm curious, so like, what are some personal goals that you have? I know that we brought up a couple different of the organizations that you're a part of and some of the big projects you're working on. I'm curious if you'd like to share some of that.
Yeah. So one thing is diversity, helping others, big thing. During this time, always volunteering still with ARIA, the Asian Real Estate Association of America, with NAR. Many of their leaders are good friends. And it is creating a diversity group in commercial real estate, helping the community, whether it's from receivership and other businesses, from government, federal agencies, to give back to local communities. So it is trying to work with education, other groups, to teach, train people not to suffer. If we can help people, even if they come over to the company or not, how not to suffer, how to be more financially literate, have a plan, especially now. I'm afraid for the younger, new generation coming up. It's just tougher. Technology, possible displacement, everything else. How can you use, learn, side hustle, whatever, make some more money, save to build yourself stability for this country, right? So that diversity play, very important. Bringing up new commercial real estate agents, younger people, diverse women groups, people coming over, and then really looking at what else is there that I can solve, when it comes to the youth. That's our future. So looking for ways to keep training, educating. Love to do that on my side. Love to work with other leaders to create a diversity for commercial platform, because we know when the market turns, it adversely affects if you don't have the education, knowledge, and unrepresented or certain communities worse. And it's just giving back and helping other people not suffer so much. And not really for you, but what can you do? And because I was one of those people last cycle, there were a lot of people, because I shared my suffering and they helped me. I mean, it was bad, I'll tell you. And going through it really that big first time, having it all and then losing it all, thinking you're retired and then not. Humble, groundedness, giving back, helping others is in my core DNA. It always was there, but it manifests and it came out even more because I suffered. And I didn't even suffer that bad. I just lost money, ego. People are truly suffering, and other people, and it was just bad. I won't even go into some of the stories and things I was a part of and I saw, but it was just bad for me, bad for others. So if all of us could just alleviate other people's suffering, or being somebody to just hear their suffering, take them out to lunch or dinner, having a drink with them sometimes. I think that's what it is, building that network, support network, safety net, be a good friend. I have bigger initiatives to try to help and teach. But if you do the small, be a friend. Don't hang up on a person crying out to you, because, we can go further. It gets deep and pretty dark, where I called and I was some people's last message on their phone.
I can relate. I want to wrap this up with some words of wisdom from yourself. I'm curious if you just share maybe like 2 or 3 key tips for somebody. It doesn't have to be any specific type of position in as a real estate agent, production wise. But I know you, again, going through different sales cycles, understanding and seeing things from all the way up to multi-billion-dollar organizations that you've been a part of and run. So I'm just curious, like maybe what are like 2 or 3 tips that maybe you'd share with a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now?
First, always have a mentor. Be open-minded. It's okay to make mistakes and failure. Do it young, do it early. So those are kind of the top 3. Always find a mentor, always find someone better. And don't ever forget, those that built you, one day you may surpass. They were always your master, your mentor, your teacher. Don't ever forget that. Always be open-minded, be flexible, be open about it. Because when you shut that door and don't open up, you may lose a lot just by being stubborn. Don't be stubborn. Just listen and learn. Be open. because EXP was there because I was open-minded. I didn't say, oh, they're not commercial, they're not this, oh, they're tech, they're. No, I'm curious. Let me find out why more. What else more? Fail fast, learn from failure. Failure builds success. Not to say you fail always and all the time, but stand back up, get back up, learn. But if you do those open-minded, having a good mentor, fail and learn from your failures, you're going to succeed. There's no way you're not going to succeed. And those are the things I always kind of look at, whether you call it, are you teachable, trainable, coachable, having somebody to guide you because you don't know what you don't know, being open-minded to accept that critique and everything, and failing. Life is full of failures, but it's full of joy once you struggle and get to that point of success. And then I would add the other teaser, helping others, giving back. That's the biggest joy. Once, I think you're never going to ever be set, right? Because we're always running to the sunset. But those little pieces of just helping, serving, volunteering,
being a good person,
giving back will make this place better. And I say doing your day job, doing this little side, helping out, enriches your life in ways you just never realize until one day. I always say, when you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, all these places I volunteered or helped out, it's my family, right? It's my community. And now I have a home to give back and do other things later, but you never see it at the time. You're always like, what can I get out of it? What can it do for me? But what can you do to help out? What can you do to volunteer? And it's your own journey. Everyone has a different timeline. You're running your own race, but your mentor will keep you on track. Don't run off somewhere else. And if it's a failure, cut your losses, move on, or pivot and be flexible. But those are my three, with my bonus of what I've learned and what I've seen. And really, Henry, what makes me really happy, because as you see me and know me, regardless now in the darkest times, everything else, pretty optimistic, positive, and very happy all the time.
Very well said, James. And James, I just want to say thank you for taking the time today, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and your experiences with me and my audience. How can people follow you, get in touch with you?
Thank you. So if you see the QR code, you can schedule and scan a time. Or if you reach out with EXP Commercial on LinkedIn, just follow us, like us, see what we're up to, connect. With Henry, we're working together, building each other, because that's the thing. And I want to help Henry, help our team, help everyone else, just even curious or interested. So working together is really it. And thank you for that. Love to help. And if it's not commercial real estate, if it's sometime if I can reach out about plugging you, connecting you with different organizations I've been in, finding a home, finding a mentor, I will always try to do what I can to point people in the right direction. But Henry, thank you for this time, this opportunity to share and get the word out, and just say to everyone, be positive. Life is very special and very precious, and you're already free, you're already wealthy in your mind. It's just how you look at life.
Very well said, James. Thank you again for everything. We appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have you back on the podcast sometime soon. Thank you again. For those of you watching, in the description down below, you can check out all of our tools and just resources that we have for you, as well as if you're open to looking at the opportunity of EXP, you can go in the description down below and fill out a form. We'd love to discuss and chat with you about the possible transition in your career. And other than that, guys, we appreciate you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.